So I'm a broke college student, and I thought I could start a handyman business and make some money while I'm in college. I posted an ad on Craigslist advertising my basic construction skills. I don't have all the experience I need quite yet, but I figured I gotta start somewhere. Anyhow, a guy wanted me to fix his cash register and stereo. I drive over there and fix the cash register. Turned out to be a loose spring, and while I'm there, he wants me to help him rewind his VHS tape. I push the RRW, and it's a guy on another guy, vintage GP but in reverse. I figured it was just an accident, and I chatted for a few minutes and said I would take the stereo home and see if I could fix it, but I got paid for the cash register and left. When I got home, I checked my email and found this. Hope you weren't insulted by the VHS film I turned on. I had forgot I even had it, as I threw my whole library from our video store away. I really get turned on by large mooning wood like that. Anyway, feel free to come over anytime. I think I can make it worth your while. Followed by this. I am really anxious to see you again. Whenever you want to come over, late afternoons or around this time are always good. Discreet and $40 for maybe 20 minutes or so. I would really like to go down on you, and I saw there was no reciprocation. You won't be sorry. I am drug and disease free. Interested? At this point, I wasn't sure what to respond with. Like, I've got to return the stereo too. I'm not going to fix it. But I'm so glad I used my Google Voice number, but very sorry that I told him where I lived when I introduced myself. I decided to park my car far away from my dorm. My girlfriend thought it was funny and said, "Now you know why I don't like going outside at night." So I drove her to his house early in the morning, dropped off the stereo, and sprinted back to my car and hightailed it out of there. And then I responded after I left with this. Hi. My bad. I wasn't aware of what you were getting at with your previous question. However, I'm going to stick with the services I posted in the ad. I returned the radio to your garage. I left it in a bag so it wouldn't get damaged by the rain, and I don't wish to do any further business with you. Best of luck to you. So I decided to stay in a Motel 6 for one night in the southern New Hampshire area. I had back-to-back hospital shifts, so it wasn't worth it to drive 45 minutes back home just to do it again 6 hours later. I checked in around 11:15 p.m. and went to my room. Of course, the door refused to open and the key ended up snapping in half, probably because it was 10 degrees out, so I had to go back to the office to change rooms and get a new card. My new room actually did open. It was pretty clean overall. I didn't see any major issues with it. I tried to get some sleep, but wake up at about 4 a.m. to people arguing somewhere in the hotel. I genuinely didn't think it was possible to be so unbelievably loud between two people. This argument went on for what seemed like forever, until it finally went silent. However, about 15 minutes later, I hear someone trying to force their way into my room. I had both locked and latched the door, yet the door somehow was cracked open, and the latch was definitely about to give out. It would have opened fully if I didn't say, "Get the fuck out." Between the cracks, I just saw a dark figure in maybe a hoodie or a jacket. The instant I said that, the door closed and the person seemingly left. Now, I would have opened the door and confronted them, but I did not have my gun on me that time. I genuinely have no idea what could have happened if I was fully asleep and didn't hear them open the door. First and last time ever staying at a Motel 6. I was living in Fiji Islands back in 2016 when I was 14 years old. This story happened to my family, but mainly my mom lived it. It was on the 31st of October, and I was at my school for a Halloween-based party, and my parents and my little sister were gone to a family friend's Halloween party, so the house was empty. My party finished at 9 p.m., and my dad came to pick me up, but dropped off my mom and my sister at the house because our security alarm was ringing. Because nobody was home, my family obviously called the security company over, and they sent a van with 3 security guards. My mom opens the door and lets everyone in the house check, and they see no one. My mother checks all the cupboards and under the bed with my little sister, who was only 12 at the time. The security go outside in the garden and in the basement to check if there is anyone, and it's not an accidental ring. My mom turns on all the lights from the living room and the balcony. She starts to open the window and the gates that protect all the windows to get on the balcony, but when she looks at the keyhole to put it in, she notices flip-flops on the floor. She then looks closer and she sees 2 pair of legs hiding really close to each other against the wall under a garden sofa. My mom yells out of her lungs. The 2 guys got scared and jumped off the balcony into my garden. One of the guards grabbed the guy, but the second intruder jumps on the guard, and they run away, jumping over the fence and running into the forest. My mother regrets yelling that if she came down and talked to security quietly, the guys wouldn't have ran and probably been caught. My mother is crying, holding my sister to her side and telling her everything will be okay. The security then called the police, and they did a report describing the guys and started a research. The cops are here in a minute since I live 100 meters from the closest police station. The guys who jumped lost a hat, their flip-flops, and they left socks to use as gloves and 2 knives. Sadly, the guys were never found again, but 2 weeks later, my mom pulls out of the driveway. She looks in the rear mirror of her car and sees 90% sure the 2 guys there opposite our house staring at her. The short one had the same new hat, and the other guy had brand new flip-flops. When my mom drove away to the police station, the guys were gone and never to be found again. I got home after with my dad, to my mom and my sister crying. My dad was mad that he didn't stay, but my mom had drank and could not drive. Luckily, my mom saw them before she opened the window, otherwise what could have happened? I am now 21 and live in Australia, and even though I did not live this for myself, it really scared me because I was young, and now that I live alone, I check the entirety of my house and make sure my house is always locked to the point I lock myself out of my house way too many times.